Facebook, joining us. Okay. Right. For you guys watching live, joining in, this is a sneak preview of the first, very beginning, the first part of my course, Successful As. So, who am I? I'm the real Pete Kirkwood. And this is a course I've put together that's taken phenomenal amounts of effort, study, and everything that I possibly know to take all of my sum total wisdom that I can, that's enabled me to have the life that I have and pass it on to those that I know. So, firstly, I'd like to give a shout out. This evening we have my mentor, Arash. Thank you very much for coming to join. This wouldn't have been possible without you and all of your help and guidance. Shout out to Christian Delgado for helping me with the technical side of things. Shout out to Brian Casella for using his house and his venue and all of his help, as well as you, Chris. And many more to name. I'll give as much credit as I can to my teachers for what they've taught me as we go through this. They're all fantastic, and I recommend any one of them that I mention by name. So, what are we doing here with Successful As? Right. Well, life has a way of becoming a challenge. It is not easy. The majority of people are not happy, they are not succeeding. They would not say they feel successful in their lives. So the entire point of, that makes sense. So the entire point of Successful As is to give you the teachings, the ideas, the concepts, the understandings that will enable you to create the life that you want and become as successful as whatever you want to be. Whatever it means to you. The key is about how you think and what you know. The way you see the world, the ideas you hold, and how you use them to, well, for lack of a better word, navigate your life and the challenges and opportunities it presents to you. So first up, I'm an entertainer. Don't take anything I say seriously. Don't break the laws of the land you live in. Be of legal age in your country, and treat each other with peace, love, and respect. Now, firstly, I'll start with a quick outline for exactly how I'm going to run through this course. It's going to be easiest with my notes in my hand, so let's just do it that way. The first lecture, tonight's lecture, could be summed up by saying, unplug yourself from the Matrix. Now, if you haven't seen the movie The Matrix, slight spoiler alert here, everyone is programmed into a system that they live in and believe in, and they believe it's real, but it's not the real world. It's the same analogy for what we're doing here. We're helping you see what's real and what's a lie and a fallacy and an illusion that society has perpetuated and presented to you, that's holding people back and keeping them as sheep, even when they don't want to be, even when that's against their nature. It's holding them into a system that feels wrong, it feels uncomfortable, it doesn't match who you are, it just doesn't feel right for you. Now, it's great for some people, don't get me wrong. I've got friends who've thrived on the system and they love it, but it was never for me. There's lots of other people I've found who are struggling and they're not getting the success they want in life because of that system. So the first lecture, the first part of the first week of this course is about becoming more aware of what and how to, what to see and how to see it, navigate it, and become aware of it to create a mind which is able to learn and grow rapidly. Because we're not here to fuck around. This course is designed to create success in your life quickly. I've got 6 weeks to completely change your life, and I'm confident I can do it easily. So the second week is about discovering a new you. Once you're able to see past limitations you used to hold, that the first week will help you overcome, you will be able to tune into abilities that you'd forgotten you had, that no one had ever told you about, you just didn't understand. It'll start teaching you, thanks Sparrow, it'll start teaching you how to interact with the world in a way that brings you a much better benefit and a much better result. Now, once we get to that point in the course, there's 1 week that people are still able to sign up and catch up, because once we get to the second part of this course, and there there's no way you'll catch up. It's going to be moving too quickly. After that, we're getting into relationship dynamics. One of the most important things you will ever do in life is interact with other people. It makes up the majority of what we call a life, of what our experiences are. If you're lying there on your deathbed, you're not going to be thinking, you know what, I really wish I bought more things. No, you're going to be thinking about the people. It's the people that matter. And week 3, we're going to look not only at getting the right people in your life, but helping to have healthy, fulfilling, happy, and growing relationships with the people you have in your life. Week 4, this is where it comes down to the drive to win. You're not going to get anywhere in life if you aren't going forwards and you aren't going forward. Now that you've got a good understanding of concepts that you can apply in the world and how to interact with the people in it in a much more positive and results-driven way, we're going to teach you how to go forwards and get shit accomplished and get it done. The 5th one is where we really start to take control of the world as a picture and understand the biggest scale and where we fit into this world and how we can use our position and where we are to influence and change things in a practical manner. This is actually the point where I can't even really tell you what that subject's about because you don't have the language yet. This course at the beginning changes so much over the rest of it that by the time we get to week 5, we're speaking in a language that you didn't know at the beginning. That's why this is a week per lesson. That's why I'm going to be able to go through things with you and help you. It's interactive over that week. If there's parts you don't understand about the lectures, the courses, anything, reach out to me and I will work you through this. And then we just refine the process and we get better. We can all learn from each other. Now, the last week, the 6th week, will be the summary, final lecture, and the wrap-up, and I won't say any more about that here. I'm just going to get on with it. How are we going for time? 7 minutes. Okay. Ooh, can I get this story in 3 minutes? Okay, I've briefly spoken about a few things, and I want to get a story in before we hit the 10-minute mark for the people who are here for free, and I'm going to teach you something powerful. Once upon a time, there was a kingdom. It was a very, very prosperous kingdom. It wasn't the largest kingdom, but its people were happy, its ruler was wise, and King Wilfred made sure that everyone was happy, successful, and prosperous. They really enjoyed their lives. The neighbouring kingdom was larger, but they had peaceful relations because King Wilfred had married the princess of that kingdom, and his first son, Bruce, was making sure that there was always an alliance with his more larger neighbour. His second son, David, came from a smaller nation. His second wife came from a smaller nation, and David was 10 years younger than Bruce. He was 8, and Bruce was 18. When something changed, the king fell ill. And as the king fell ill, it became very apparent that Bruce was very excited to become the king. He was always quite loud, quite brash, quite out there, and always having a good time, and he couldn't wait to get onto that throne. David, however, was stricken with grief for the death of his father because he knew it was imminent, and he didn't know what to do at the age of 8 years old. When the king passed away, Wilfred left 2 things. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you coming. More than welcome, my pleasure. When, you know this story too, when the king passed away, he left a will with instructions for his first son. He left wealth, he left the seat of power, he left all of the tools for his first son to take over as the king, as he was so excited to do. For his second son, he left him a ring, a beautiful silver ring. 1 ring. Bruce got all of his dreams fulfilled, his wildest imaginings, and David, the devoted 8-year-old boy, had 1 ring. And he was furious. That was when his temper came through, and he was absolutely ropeable. That night in his quarters, he was getting angry. He was starting to break things and shove things around while Bruce was partying. He had a huge celebration going on. Didn't even care that his father was dead. He was happy to be king. Wine was flowing, women were partying, he was having a great time, and Bruce was so angry. How could his father just leave him this stupid piece of silver ring? And as he went to throw the ring across the room, it caught his eye. And he saw in the edge of the ring tiny writing that said, "This too shall pass." And in that moment, David realized that his father had left him a message. He couldn't change what was going to happen once he was dead. Bruce was always going to be king. That didn't change the fact that he would die. He was always going to die. There was nothing he could do about it. And so David realized that this would pass, and he let it go. And it gave him a new sense of optimism for life, a new sense of freedom. I said 10 minutes, you're getting extra. It gave him a new sense of optimism and a new sense of freedom. And he started to get his enjoyment back. As he became older, he joined the knights. Bruce kept partying as king and having a good time, and the nation slowly started to decline. But the military was kept strong, as the powerful neighbours wished of their kingdom to the west. Now, over time, David became a very powerful and very skilled knight. He always had a positive attitude. He was always brave. He was always willing to go to the front line. And when things went wrong, he didn't care, because this too shall pass. He understood the wisdom his father had given him, and it gave him a power to be brave, to be strong, to go out there more than his fellow men. It was remarkable. People thought how this quiet little boy had grown into such a brave warrior. And as time went on, there were more battles, as the kingdom was led into grief and trouble and strife from Bruce, leading it poorly, wastefully, lasciviously, over-the-top indulgence. David saw more action on the front lines. The more time he was out there fighting, the more victories he clawed from the jaws of defeat that people couldn't understand, the more of a hero he became to his troops and the people and those around him. Before long, he was a general commanding a large regiments. And he started to realize that he was so blessed that he could do no wrong, because this too shall pass, and his power was coming through. He could see how he would be king. Now this is where it gets interesting, because one night, while he was so assured that this is how everything would go on this upwards high, David he'd just conquered another village, and one of the villages, she came to the army to surrender, and she said, I would humbly ask that you spare my family, my children. And David said, no worries, we're not here to do anything except our job and all the rest of it, and you're welcome to have some food and stay. And before long, she was quite happy. She was quite enchanted by David. David was quite enchanted by her. And all of a sudden, things began to change, and he began to realize just how good life could be if there was somebody else in it for him. And as he was carrying on and campaigning over the next few weeks, this woman, she came with him. Her name was Lucy. She followed him, and she made him even more brave, even more strong. And one night, as they were poised on the cusp of a great battle, he lay down to bed, and as he was about to go to bed with his beautiful woman, the ring caught his eye, and in his moment of supreme happiness, he saw the words, "This too shall pass." And all of a sudden, he realized he had been thinking wrong. The truth wasn't that all the bad things go away. The truth is that the good things go away. And with a sudden, sharp intuition, he turned around and saw a knife aimed right for his head from the woman that he thought was his lover. The whole time she had been waiting for the right moment, and in the very last second, when he realized the truth of this, he caught her and stopped his own assassination. It was a huge turning point. He began to realize that it's not all about the good things in life. You get the good with the bad. You have to be in control, and you have to be calm, and you have to be masterful of yourself and the situation. No matter how bad, or how good, or how anything, this too shall pass. His patience became legendary overnight, as his temper, his bravery, was completely balanced by this uncanny reason. And before long, the people started to look up to David far, far more than Bruce. And Bruce became jealous of this fact. So he arranged an outing where he would join the war effort. Now he came thundering in, saying, "This is how it will be, and this is how I will do it. I am the king and I will run this army." And he made his point to humiliate his younger brother David and prove him wrong. And David calmly, patiently said, "Yes, sir. That's how we will do it, Your Majesty." And Bruce was outraged. How could he just take that humiliation? He couldn't just not care. He still looked cooler than the king. With all of his fiery, brave speech and his roar for the troops, they still looked up to this quiet man. The king realized he had to prove his manliness against this man, against his brother. He had to prove he was the king. And the fire became stronger in him. And he treated David worse and worse. As David was treated this way, "Yes, sir, as you wish, Your Majesty, this is what we will do." He led troops as he was told. He made things less efficient. He did as he was commanded by His Majesty. And His Majesty could not make him look bad because he would not react. Until one day, there was a battle. And David was near the front lines. And things were starting to turn bad. And Bruce saw his opportunity to be a hero. He came charging straight in, swinging his sword wildly, recklessly, proving his kingliness and his worthiness once and for all. And as he came through, a spear from the enemy came right through his neck, and he was instantly killed for charging right into the breach as the king. The troops quickly gathered the body. David saved his brother, dragged him back. They brought him back to enemy lines, but it was too late. Bruce was gone. And all of a sudden, things changed. The kingship fell to David. David was the new king of the realm. And everyone could not have been more happy. There was very little resistance. Everyone was willing to follow his lead because they knew he was a wise man. He was a patient man. He was a stoic man. He was a calm man. And before long, the wars stopped. Peace came. Prosperity happened. The kingdom again flourished. And finally, as an old man, David saw the wisdom of his father. His father did not leave him a ring. His father left him an opportunity to become a great man, with enough clues along the way to learn his own lessons and change his path and save the kingdom forever. Now, that is the power of an idea. A powerful idea can change the world. A small group of people can change the world with an idea. And if you think that they can't, you'd be mistaken. Because if you look through history, it's the only thing that it has. Now, Facebook, Instagram, you guys are out of here. It's been good. You've had a fair bunch for free, but now I'm going to get into some serious stuff and some real technique with my students. Like I said, you've got about a week. This program's only getting more outrageous and out the gate from here, so be the best. Fuck the rest. Latest.